Soxxy, thank you so much for sitting down with me and sharing your story. It's never easy, even though you're on the other side of it, sharing the tough points of your journey. But Anne, if you can just kind of take us through when you first found out that you had PCOS.
My periods were regular from when I started my periods, but all of a sudden they disappeared and I didn't know what was going on. So the first month I was like, maybe change of climate, diet, I don't know. Second month, nothing. Third month I decided, let me just go to the doctor and get it checked out. And that's when they did a scan and they saw small cysts in my ovaries. So both of my ovaries have very small cysts. So unfortunately the first doctor who I encountered told me, I was 27, you don't have a child and you have PCOS. So you'll never be able to get children if you don't start trying now. So it killed me inside. Like, what do you mean? I'll never be able to have children. I was dating Soxxy then, and I told him, you're getting a child now. I don't care. If you want to marry me or not, I want a child. Yeah. So yeah, that's where my journey with PCOS started.
And you know, how does it feel? Because we live in an African society where a woman's value is so attached to her ability to give birth and have children. And then you're told that this can be taken away from you. I mean, what was going through your mind?
I felt less of a woman. Actually, even now when we started trying, I kept on feeling like I'm less of a woman. I can't give Soxxy children. It's like I'm a man. So yeah, you know, it's like, okay, so what's my worth in this society if I can't have children? Yeah.
And Soxxy, this is prior to marriage. This is a woman you love, but in your mind, you're like, we're going to do this. Yes. When she told you there's a possibility that I could not give you children, you know, what were you thinking?
I think I was open. I had actually processed. I knew I loved her beyond the children that she would give me. And so it was, whether we get children, we don't get children, we'll still get married, we'll still have a happy life. If it's adoption, we'll adopt. But we will sort it out when we get there. You know, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. And so, yeah, I just took it up and I was like, it's okay, we can, yeah. But now where our domain started is when now that pressure for we need a child now, now, you know, and she wouldn't take anything other than that. And yeah, and she wouldn't tell you, but there was maybe a lot of conflict. Ended up with even her leaving me.
When we were dating,
when we were dating, because she felt like, you know,
he's not understanding.
This guy is not understanding me. I may never have children. You know, for a man, there are those things that you cannot really understand. You cannot feel. I'll tell her I feel, but to be honest, I can't feel what she feels, because just as you said, a woman is about children, you know, it's about mothering. And so as much as I reassured her that it's okay, you know, we can live without children. Actually, I think one of the worst things that I used to say to her is that we can actually live without children. To me, it was encouraging her. But to her, it was, what do you mean? Yeah. Are you trying to say that I'm less of a woman?
Less of a woman, yeah.
You know? So yeah, there was a lot of conflict around that. And yeah, we broke up a number of times. Yeah, because she would not see herself living with me without children for the rest of her life. And she doesn't want to get children now. Okay, as in, I don't want to have children, we can't, you know. But for her, the doctor has said, we need to get children now. If we do not get children now, I may never ever get. So again, to me, I was at a place where, what if, anyway, this is her season, then we are not planning to get married tomorrow. We get married maybe after 3-4 years. Then after that, she tells me, our season has closed because of you. I told you. Wow. I told you we would have had this child 3 years ago. Now you refused. So I was in a very catch-22 place. Yeah, but it wasn't easy. It was very tough. Just trying to encourage her and looking forward, seeing the future, but the future that I'm seeing is not the same future that she's seeing. Yeah, because for her, the future that she has in her mind is perfect wedding, you know, wedding children, you know, and her husband. But now there's one gap, there's one element in this perfect picture that's not there.
Been removed.
The children. Yeah. But you see, the problem again, I remember telling her, it's the doctor's point, it's the doctor's opinion. it's not the doctor who gives children.
True.
You know those things that you say, thinking that you're encouraging someone, thinking that you're sounding very spiritual, but actually you are making her even hate God. Because if this God would take me through this, you know, and you're telling me that he's a loving God, you know, yeah.
It's not connecting in her mind.
It's not connecting.
Yeah. And, you know, and how did you, of course, you got married, and the pressure of these kids have to come now. And then beyond even your pressure, there's in-laws and family and society. How do you deal with that to where it doesn't become a defining point of your marriage? That, you know, we've come together for this alone, that you can't even enjoy each other.
Wow, that was tough. Because I think the first 3-4 years of our marriage were very bad. Okay, they were very dramatic because we got married, and I told Soxxy was saying we wait a year or 2 before we start trying for children, and I'm thinking, this guy, didn't you hear what the doctor said? So I want us to start now. So Soxxy's like, no, let's first enjoy marriage and get to know each other, then we start trying.
At least let's wait a year. At least.
I wasn't seeing how that year sounded.
At least to a year, at least a year.
That year sounded like a million years. So he broke before the year ended, and we started trying. Unfortunately, when we started trying, now my pressure went higher because we are trying and I'm not getting pregnant. So I went to the gynae, and the gynae told me, no, you have to try for a full year, then now we can conclude you're infertile. So we tried for the full year, and I went back and I'm like, no, nothing is happening. So he was like, now we start doing fertility pills. So we started the fertility pills, and I think combination of the fertility pills and the pressure, it just got us really crazy. So the baby wasn't coming. Medicine is driving me crazy. I'm either getting hot flashes, headaches. I was constantly just not myself. People are asking me, so umetuweka, what's happening? You've been married for this long. Kweni hamtaki kutupatia watoto. So at some point, I didn't go to church. I didn't go for social gatherings. Sijui weddings, sijui baby showers were the worst. Baby showers, those things I just stopped going. And then life has a way of, when you're looking for a child, that's when all your friends are getting their firstborns. Then your child is still not coming, and all your friends have started getting secondborns, and you're thinking, oh my God, yeah.
And even worse, the moments that you'd test and you find yourself you're pregnant.
Actually, yeah, a couple of times.
Yeah,
I don't know how that used to happen.
She'll do tests and she'll be happy, excited, I'm pregnant, yeah.
And I thought I was going crazy because we go to the doctor, he's like, no, no, no. I don't know what they used to call it. You're not pregnant. I'm like, what do you mean? The strip, they were true. Yeah. He's like, no, you're not pregnant. I'm like, I'm going crazy. Yeah.
With that, at some point, she actually stopped believing in the home. These tests for
the Kenyan ones.
Kenyan ones.
The 50 bob.
So she ordered from UK, saying these are the original ones, and they came, by the way. And even one time, one of them lied to her again. Wow. Yeah, she did the test and she was pregnant, happy. So it got to a point where even when she had the symptoms, we would not be excited, or I would not be excited, because I knew that after this season, it will crash everything.
And talking about the stigma of infertility that's attached to it, I remember reading somewhere, Anne, where you shared the story previously, and you said you wanted so badly to even just get pregnant to show that it's not that I can't, but I probably just can't carry the child to term. You didn't care if it even ended in a miscarriage. That's how bad it got.
Yes, it was that bad. And okay, now when I think of it, yeah, that was bad of me to think like that. But I just wanted to know my womb can carry something. Because I was wondering, where is all this stuff going? Why isn't it attaching? What's this that's stopping it? Kwani this God is how malicious to not want me to carry a child. So I just wanted, let me be pregnant, even if it's for 2 months. Then it comes out and I'm like, okay, yeah, I was pregnant, it didn't happen. We move on with life. Yeah.
Because when someone hears, okay, you had cysts in the ovary, many women will probably have those same kind of symptoms or signs. But in your case, what does that do to prevent you from having children?
How I digest it, because the doctor will tell you very many concepts. As a layman, what I think is we have a communication from our brain to our ovaries to produce different hormones. Now, the cysts are like trees and things that are covering the communication to reach the ovary. So by the time it reaches there, the communication is not what that came from the... So it's maybe produce estrogen, but by the time it reaches, it's... We are not sure if they're saying estrogen or progesterone. Let's just produce another one like that. Yeah.
You find a lot of these complications coming and...
Yes. So your periods won't come, your cycle won't be as normal.
A sign for you, at least.
Yes, actually the number one sign is when your periods stop coming, just go see a gyna.
So when you had gone through the infertility pills, that didn't seem to be working. What was the next step?
Even the gyna reached his end, because you see there is only so much that he can pump into my system. Then unfortunately, PCOS has a challenge with diabetes and hypertension and heart disease. So with that, the hormones being disturbed all the time, I developed hypertension. So we could not even continue with the medication anymore. So he reached his end and he told us, now what we can do is I do ovarian drilling. So what they do, they go into the ovary and try and burst out the cysts. Or I wait it out and try IVF after some time when they can do the medication again. So both scenarios, we would have spent 500, 600,000. At that time, we didn't have that money. And when we asked him, what are the chances of us getting pregnant, he told us 50-50. So even if you do it, it's not a guarantee that you'll actually get pregnant. So at that point, we just sat with Soxxy and we were like, you know what, we've tried our best. Let's give it a break and wait it out. Actually, I remember I told him we are staying like this. After 2 years, we adopt. I wasn't seeing how I wouldn't be a mother. As in, we wait it out 2 years, then we just adopt children.
You know, Soxxy, as you're watching Anne process all of this, this is your wife. You want to ensure that she's happy, she's comfortable, and there's this one thing that she's not getting that just cannot be fulfilled at that time. How were you kind of walking her through that process?
It was tough. It was tough because eventually I realized I would not be able to understand her 100%. I would try to tell her, I would try to reassure her, but I wouldn't feel what she's feeling. And with all the conflict that we're going through, actually what happened is to some extent she started pushing me away because of small domains, you know, like the doctor has said, it's a certain day, you're ovulating a certain day, so it has to happen that day. And when that day comes, maybe I come home late, you know, that will be dome for the next month, you know, or
you missed a window.
I missed out a window, or maybe I came home tired, you know. So there are a lot of issues, but what I did is I remembered that I have a friend, actually we still have a friend, who had gone through the same situation. The wife was not able to conceive, and so I reached out to this friend and told the guy, you know, my wife is going through this. You know, by then we hadn't shared this with anyone. And so my wife is going through this situation. I'll kindly just ask you to, because I know they are not friends with your wife, just come for dinner sometime. We plan you come over for dinner so that they start walking this journey together. And it happened, and they started at least walking together. She had now someone who they would understand each other, because at that point I wouldn't understand her. And so I think for that a lot of healing came, because she felt like she was not alone. And during those times, those bad, tough times, she would have someone that she would call, you know, that I'm going through this. And also for me on my end is I asked the guy, you know, many a times we would blame the wife, you know, maybe I am the issue. And so I asked the guy, because I realized he had actually gone for the test for now just to see if the man is okay. So I asked him, where do I go? So I basically just started processing. I need to go for this. I called the hospital. I booked.
And it ended there?
And it,
he just booked.
But it is the heart was willing. You got pregnant before I went.
Oh,
yeah. No, you got pregnant. We kept on
fighting and time went, and then...
You know now, by the way, you know my issue, it's not that I didn't want to go. To be honest, now I was told when you go now, you know, how do they do that procedure? You see, That's the issue.
So the male ego was getting in the way. You just could not put yourself through that process.
No, but my heart was willing. It's just that, you know, perception. You care about what people see. Like, I've gone to this clinic, this secretary has told me,
like, hi, DJ Soxxy.
Hi, how are you? You're well. You get?
Okay.
Hi, how are you? Then, go to room number 3. Take this bottle, go to room number 3.
Next thing you know, the blogs.
The blogs, exactly. You know, sadly, that really just dwelled in my mind that, you know, yes, I want to go for this. If there was another way that I would go privately, it would be, but yeah.
Bring up something really important, because as a public figure, you know, there's a lot of interest in your life. I'm sure your marriage and whatnot, and people asking questions. How did you deal with that? And you know, even hoping that your doctor would be confidential with this information as well.
Okay, at least I hope the doctor was confidential.
Maybe the nurses.
Maybe the nurses, because the nurses knew us. But thank God, okay, at that time, when we got married, I was not out there like I am now. Even that's why they say the Soxxy alimua come feature. I never used to like the public. So I don't think they poked us as much. No one ever asked a question.
Maybe friends. You know, this funny conversation, hey, Metueka, just what you're asking. And but then our day would end there.
Wow.
Our day would end there, because I would know, let's just go home.
Right.
You know, in church forums, that's why she was saying she stopped going to church, because it's our friends who unknowingly, not that they were doing it spitefully, but unknowingly they would ask those questions. Hey, metueka nyinyi sana, you know, and for me, our day would have ended. But thank God, our parents were okay.
We
didn't have pressure from family.
You had that support from...
Yes. Not that they knew what you were going through.
Actually, it's only my mom who knew. Wow. It's only my mom who knew. The others were in the dark.
And that's still painful, to kind of hold that information. Of course, you'd want people to kind of understand where it is you're coming from, because you're not denying them children. It's just, it's not happening right now. But in that 2-year period that you said, let's wait, you weren't actively trying.
No.
So what was going on at that time? Had you literally released it and said, God, this is yours? What happened?
Yes and no. Okay, yes. Because I usually tell him he carried the faith on. I remember I even changed jobs. I just wanted a change of environment. I wanted something different. And I think the new job, because you need to prove yourself, my mind just shifted from the whole drama. So I was a bit more preoccupied with work, and even our love life came back, because really it had gone. So we started connecting, having Friday dates and such things. So we started like getting back our normal. That's what I'd say. I kind of forgot it, but not really completely. Yeah.
And then tell us about that day. Finally, the turning point, you know, in the story.
It was, I remember, December 2013. So I am, because I'm new, I needed...
23rd. I remember the date. Yes, it was 23rd.
Because I'd gone to the office, and I was the only one actually in the office. Most guys had closed for Christmas. So I went in, I needed to work till half day, then come home. But I was feeling so funny. I was feeling tired. I was feeling like I want to throw up. Then I thought, maybe it's because I haven't had lunch. So I thought when I'm leaving, I'll go buy lunch and then go home. So on my way, I felt like gagging, and I even started feeling like, So I'm like, no, there must be something wrong. Then I thought, when were my periods? When did I have my period? And then you see with PCOS, you can even have a day of periods, as in, or 2 days, and it's 1 drop, 2 drops, and you're done. Right. So I was like, I'm not sure. So I bought lunch, and I bought a kit. Something just told me, just buy, but don't tell Soxxy. So I bought 3, came home, and I couldn't wait. I just, you know how they say morning urine is the best? I couldn't wait for the morning urine. So when I was making dinner, I decided, no, I'm doing this test. And it changed so fast. So I was like, okay, it's been a while since I did this test. Maybe this one is the truth. I did the second one, it changed. The third one changed. So I thought, I'm giving Soxxy these things for him to tell me what he thinks. So I took them to Soxxy, and the first thing he asked me is like, whose kids are these?
No, actually, no. You left them on the bed. I wasn't at home then. So I came home, and you took me to the bedroom, and the kids were on top of the bed. So you are like, So I was like, whose are these?
It's like I borrowed someone.
Yeah,
but I went to a hospital at who just...
You see, but for me, my fear was, we've gone through this very many times.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I didn't want, again, disappointment. So for me, it was actually to discourage her. Yes, okay, but let's not go that direction.
Let's not get excited.
Let's not get excited. Yes, Kwanzaa, now there are 3. You've done 3. Okay. The record is improving. Now you're doing 3. It was 1, 2, now 3. Okay, so they have all turned positive. Yes, but let's not get excited. So I was not excited, actually. Because now I knew we'll go to hospital.
We'll be told there's
and
nothing.
we'll be told there's nothing. And the reason I know it was 23rd is because
the gyna
had closed. So we had to wait up to after Christmas, 27th, to go now to go to the gyna and now get the blood.
Those 4 days felt like it's a whole decade. I couldn't wait to see him and ask me, hey, am I pregnant or not? So finally we went to the gyna, and the gyna did a scan, and he told us we were 5 weeks. 5 weeks pregnant. But now, according to him, because of PCOS, the hormones keep on playing around. So he was like, I'll have to give you medication till at least you're 4 or 5 months pregnant, then I can wean you off the medication. So we started taking the medication, and now we have a 5-year-old.
And what was the medication for?
For maintain, because what happens, as I told you, the message comes from the brain, you're pregnant. But now, because I have PCOS, it will come to the ovary, and the ovary will be confused. I'm not sure whether you're pregnant or not, so I won't release the hormone that supports the pregnancy, and you get a miscarriage. So they usually give you something to boost up progesterone, so that it takes you up till when, apparently, when the placenta checks in. Yeah.
Or it will reject it, saying it's a foreign body.
Oh yeah,
you see,
as well. Hey, my goodness, an expert right here.
By the way, during that season, our domain was like, I was being interviewed every time. Like,
do you know what
PCOS is? Do you know its symptoms? Do you know what I'm going through? And I had to remember everything, by the way. Do you know the last time I got my period?
Wow. It's serious.
Do you know how long my period? Yeah, 3 days. No. It was 2. You see, you do not follow, you do not care, you do not feel me, you know, so.
It's a bit emotional, it's a bit.
Because it takes a lot out of you, you know, but here you are, 2 beautiful children later.
Thank God, they are miracles.
Miracles, I'm telling you. The story changes for you. When you're looking back now on your experience, this is now life after kids. And you're having to now, you know, bring up these human beings into the world and hoping they become model citizens of this world. What are your hopes for them when you look at them now? They're running around in the house, they're joyful, full of life. What are your hopes?
I pray they'll okay, because they are miracles to us. There's a verse in the Bible that kept on reminding me of what I've gone through. I even did a tattoo on it. 1 Samuel 1:27-28. Hannah had really prayed for Samuel for so long. And he had told God, if you bless me with this son, I'll take this son to church. So I pray these children grow up knowing God, because God is the one who gave them to us. So I pray they'll have all the virtues, all the, you know, a good child who's obedient, who's respectful,
Wow. And you know, this is, of course, the awareness month for PCOS. I mean, and to be honest, I didn't know about it until now, reaching out to you and doing more research and thinking, this is quite prevalent. We don't have numbers for Kenya, the US and Europe, and we can tell that it's quite prevalent in those areas. But you were telling me even earlier that doctors here don't seem to take it as seriously.
They'll tell you, okay, your periods are not coming. You're not trying for a child. So you come back when you're trying for a child, and then now we'll see what to do. But you see, with PCOS, things go wrong. You can be diabetic. It can go to another level that's really not good for you. So most of the women are put on family planning. Or diabetic metformin and like diabetic medication. And to be honest, on a long term, on family planning, it's not very good for your body. And I feel even that's how I ended up having hypertension. Because before we got married, I was on family planning for like 2 years. Then now we started trying, and now the fertility pills, and now I'm hypertensive. I have to take medication every day. And
your body is going through a lot with all of that medication and the cycles. But you've started a foundation.
Yes, I have.
Reaching out to women. What's the response been, and what do you want to do with it?
So now when we started talking about it, most women now started coming out and saying, yeah, even me, even me, even me. And at first I thought I'm those 1 in 10,000. So I figured we are many. So we've started it's basically a support group, because you see, for PCOS, apart from these symptoms we go through, it's more emotional than even physical. So it's just a group where we come, we cry together, we celebrate together. Now you're pregnant. Now we are at 80 on the WhatsApp group. Wow. And it's growing. Wow. Yeah, majority are figured out when they were trying to have a child that they have PCOS. So the foundation is basically to create awareness, tell the people around us what we are going through. Because at times I wake up and I don't feel like getting out of bed. The hormones can play tricks on you. At times I wake up, I have headaches. He's had to call at work and say I won't go because my wife is unwell. So it's those small things, just standing together and encouraging each other. Don't worry, you're trying to lose weight, it's not moving. You're doing IF from January to December, you've lost 2 kgs. Because obesity is also another, we can't lose weight faster. Yeah, we can't lose weight faster. And yet when you go to the doctor will tell you, lose weight, then try for a child. And you're thinking, okay. Yeah. So the foundation is just for us to hold each other hands and to bring in people, friends, family around us to understand this is what I'm going through. So if you see me like this, don't give me advice, just stand there with me. If I'm crying, let's cry. If I'm happy, let's be happy. Yeah.
And it's not curable, is it?
No, it's not. You can just manage the symptoms. Yeah.
So it's with you even after the kids come.
Actually, that's another misconception. Most people think, see, now you got children, so now you don't have PCOS. No. I still have PCOS. So how personally I'm managing, I'm doing a lot of supplements. Instead of doing medication, because I know if I take omega-3 fish oil is good for me, so that has helped my periods to be regular. Yeah.
And I think something else that I would want the foundation to do, or I would desire, now speaking from an outsider, from a man's perspective, is you talked about numbers. We don't have Kenyan numbers. I would want someone the foundation to do research on how many women in Kenya have PCOS, so that even to know how can you lobby government to put in things that will support, you know, so that, because it's an expensive condition per se, because of the drugs that you take, and it's a lifetime condition. So how about government does something just to supplement on what they are doing, and,
or even something small like supplements being cheaper than how they are now, because we live on that. You'll have to buy flaxseed oil, I don't know what oil, magnesium. So if they can just be a little bit cheaper for us to be able to afford them. Yeah.
And even just if the government can, you know, us men, we suffer a lot. So if the government can just have mercy on us as men,
and do what?
Marrying PCOS, women with PCOS, so they can just give us something every end month.
It's idea.
Hardship allowance.
It's idea.
You know, and talk on a more serious note, what do you tell another man watching this, you know, and they're going through the same thing right now that you and Anne did a few years back? He's probably being pressured. Some men just leave the situation. Let's be honest, you know. What do you tell them in terms of standing by their wives and supporting them through this very, very tough moment?
I think for me, I would say, just remember, at the back of your mind, remember you're part of the same team. Part of the same team. And so support her. She may never, or you may never, and as a man, I may never understand truly 100% what she's going through, what she's feeling. So just do the best that you can. And even for the men out there, I didn't get to go for the test, but if you can, just to show the support. Because at times, you could be the one with the issue. You know, at times we may assume it's her, but it's the man. So if you can go, just go get checked. And above all, prayer. Prayer. Because I think at some point she lost faith. She stopped going to church. And I realized I won't force her to go to church. I won't force her to pray. But I'll do that for her. You know, so prayer. And the best that you can to protect your wife from your friends and from your families. You know, protect her, meaning that those conversations of, do your wife is not, you know, we are waiting for Mjuku, we are waiting for, if you can protect her so that those things do not get to her, you would have done a lot.
You know, and I want to wrap up with you, just in terms of the lessons that you learned in the process, because yeah, you can rejoice in getting the kids and feel that's the victory, that's the lesson. But it's also more about what you learned in the process, about yourself. What did you see? How did you grow from it?
Okay, now I'm a type A kind of person. I love controlling. Okay, I love knowing what is happening, as in I don't like leaving things to the wind. So this really trained me to be patient, to wait on God, to not want to have things my way. And I think also what I usually say now, it was preparing me also for these children. Because you know, kids are not planned. Kids do things just how they want to do them. So it was preparing me to be a mother. It's just that I wasn't seeing it then, but I learned to be patient. I learned to protect the marriage, to stay here, not because things are rosy and nice, but to stay because this is the man that I chose and this is the man who I'm working with. Another thing I learned is don't keep quiet with your problems. Speak it out, but be particular with who you're speaking it out to. Choose good people who you can connect and work with, so that you get over what you're going through. Yeah.
Wonderful words. Thank you so much, Anne and Soxxy, for sharing your story. Yeah, absolutely. I know you'll inspire many.